Goethe said it more than 200 years ago: "Fine fresh air and beautiful blooming scenery." Sicily, with its area of almost 26,000 square kilometres, is the largest island in the Mediterranean. It abounds in many diverse plant species. From seas of flowers and lemon groves to tequila fields in the interior. Phoenicians, Greeks, Carthaginians, Romans, Arabs and Normans, all these once mighty nations of the Mediterranean gained control over the island and left their own quite unique traces. The Arabs brought raisins as well as the Gothic lancet arch used in church building. The Normans introduced mosaics into palaces, as well as blonde colour hair on the heads of some of Sicily's inhabitants. Sicily today. This is a unique mixture of diverse cultures which excites every lover of ancient architecture and culinary pleasures. The capital, Palermo, situated right on the Tyrrhenian Sea and set into a breathtaking rocky landscape, glows radiantly with its recently renovated buildings. Here in the 8th century, the Phoenicians founded a commercial centre for the Mediterranean. Later came the Arabs and the dynasty of Stauf, who chose Palermo as their seat of rule. Today, the metropolis is a mixture of small, dark and twisting streets, luxurious palaces, churches and theatres. The classic Teatro Massimo at Piazza Giuseppe Verdi. To visit the second most important Italian opera house after Scala in Milan is a must. Right in front of the Teatro, Vincenzo Terena sells the truly refreshing drink alla Palermo, Granita. A fruity lemon almond cocktail with ice cream made according to an original recipe which you can try only at Terena's. In Palermo there used to be many people selling Granita, but I've remained the only one who does this job. Up there you can see me when I was 24, and I will soon turn 73. In the small church San Giovanni degli Eremiti, you can travel in time into the Norman and Arabian epochs. The Stations of the Cross, built in the 12th century by the Norman King Roger II, are jewels surrounded by flowers, where you can enjoy some peace in the middle of the city bustle. Built in the 6th century as a Benedictine monastery, San Giovanni was rebuilt into a mosque by Arabs 300 years later. The walls were plastered white up to the last century. What a surprise when precious frescoes from the times of early Christianity were uncovered there during a restoration. Above the Piazza Vittorio Emanuele towers the most magnificent ecclesiastical building in the city, the Palermian Cathedral from 1185. It's a quite unique piece of art in Sicily because no other building comprises so many styles of art taken over by conquerors of the island. An oblong building in Norman style, a portal from the times of the Spanish Renaissance, the dome and the inner furnishings in Sicilian Baroque style. In the aisle lie marble tombs of the Stauf dynasty, underneath the last resting place of Frederick II, a Sicilian king, and who from 1215 achieved no lesser title than Holy Roman Emperor. The interior. Untroubled peace in the small settlements far from busy roads. Beautifully blooming olive groves beckon you in to come and relax. In the country, the Sicilians may be a bit suspicious of tourists, but after a few friendly words and some laughs, all the people unwind. The island's Mediterranean climate is very good for cacti, tequila, and also plants like lemons, orange or palm trees, which were imported here many centuries ago. Travellers encounter one new impression after another. Fascinating cathedrals next to rural byways or sheer cliffs by the coast. To climb the mountains is definitely worth it because you can enjoy a fascinating panoramic view of any one of the many small villages on the island, where the time usually passes a bit slower than you are used to in large cities like Palermo. That's how it is also in Donafogata, a small village in the southwest part of the island. People place a lot of emphasis on traditions here in the old villages, so that you often have a chance to admire a traditional Sicilian carriage. After a walk through the park in Donafogata, you can familiarise yourself with the secrets of Sicilian cuisine in the Al Castello Trattoria. It offers all the delicacies of Italian cuisine and much more, thanks to the Arabian and African influences. Typical are ravioli from thinly rolled pasta made into squares filled with sauce with mashed tomatoes, onions and cheese. Sweet ravioli, casatella dolce, are just the thing for Italian gourmets. The base is pasta made from water, flour and eggs. Filled with fresh curd, ricotta are briefly baked in hot oil and then sprinkled with sugar. People always eat here in large groups. The whole family, the young and the old, sit around the table talking. On Sicily it can be very quiet, but not when people eat. Typical meals are caponata, nightshades with hot sauce, sardines baked with pine seeds, and herbs and pasta con le sarde in fish sauce. Syracuse, the former economic, political and cultural centre of ancient Sicily. Between modern buildings you can still find the ruins of the San Giovanni Basilica. St. Paul is said to have preached here at this place of early Christianity. Right next to it is Crypta di San Marziano. Unfortunately, after an earthquake in 1693, only a few have remained from more than 1,000 crypts in complex corridors. The Vespa. You can find this popular vehicle throughout the whole of Italy, also here in Syracuse. Though it's obligatory to wear a helmet, it'll probably take some time before this law becomes a part of everyday life. Sicily and its inhabitants cannot be so easily swayed in the way Europeans living a bit further north are used to. Forte Aretusa, a drinking water spring with papyri, is a symbol of the town. A legend has it that the nymph Aretusa changed into a spring here. The cathedral in Syracuse was built in the 6th century with references to the architecture of the Temple of Athena. The building received its Baroque facade in the 18th century. The outer staircase invites travellers as well as locals to rest. The Piazza Archimedi is adorned with a fountain and palaces from the 14th and 15th centuries. Despite the wonderful collection of antique beauty, you shouldn't miss the varied everyday life of the town. Italians live mainly in the market. Goods are loudly praised. What guarantees quality and freshness is often the temperament of the seller. A Especially typical on Sicily is swordfish. The old town lies on Otrigia Island, known as the Island of Quails. You can get here across the Ponte Nuovo, a bridge arching over the whole port. Fishermen usually sit here in their boats in the evening talking about their adventures on the seas around Syracuse. Catania lies directly at the foot of Etna, the volcano, which with its height of 3,340 meters is the highest mountain on Sicily. The town has a special attraction due to its splendid architecture and the Sicilian joy of life. In the 18th century, Giovanni Battista Vaccarini made his dream of a black city built of lava and basalt come true here. Through small picturesque winding streets you can enjoy views of cathedrals and churches. Straight streets, which meet at right angles, open again and again onto beautiful squares. In the middle of these beautiful scenes there are many chances to talk to the natives. One of the most beautiful impressive streets in Catania is Via Cruciferi. Apart from the luxurious palazzi, there are 4 Baroque churches here. Not far from here is Teatro Bellini, which was named after the composer, Massimo Bellini. Porta Garibaldi, the town tower, was built in the 18th century, entirely from lava stone. The Piazza Duomo, with the Baroque cathedral and Chiesa Sant'Agata, is a vivid centre of the town. The symbol of Catania is a black elephant on a fountain. Today, a popular meeting place for local inhabitants, the elephant was used on an antique racecourse in Roman times. Shopping in the market, a must not only for the Sicilians but also for every traveller. You can get everything that fishing and farming yields. The Greeks brought wine and olives to the island. The Arabs planted sugarcane, cotton and citruses. Many years later, the Spanish brought tomatoes and fig trees. There are green and black olives, raw, dried or filled with pepper for prices you can still haggle over. Countless kinds of seafood and fish of all sizes are proudly displayed in front of the hungry spectators. Silver fish pile up next to prawns and shellfish. This market show always continues until the late evening. As long as it doesn't show its flaming side, the crater of Etna, which is about 30 kilometers far from Catania, is the tourist highlight of this region. Because Etna is not only the highest mountain on the island, but also the most active volcano on the European continent. Only on foot can you climb the last 100 meters to the top of the crater, but then you are rewarded with an amazing view of a landscape created by fire and lava. The inhabitants of the island love this mountain on the one hand, and on the other they hate it. They call it the Good One, the Good Giant. To alleviate their own fears, they say it's a friendly volcano. That's why the local inhabitants never call it a volcano, but call it La Montagna, simply the mountain. In Giardini Naxos, which is 35 kilometers distant, they have experienced Etna too. Approximately 3,000 years ago, lava was flowing as far as the sea. Many times since then, the inhabitants have had to temporarily leave the town. Though people often have to run away, nobody has ever left Sicily. We Sicilians love this country. We are proud of the fire of Etna that gives us a lot of fruit and is something sacred for us, even more than our religion. Though there was an eruption not long ago, and there will surely be other eruptions, people will leave this place only temporarily. They will always return to their homes because they have respect for their native land. Taormina. Many lovers of Italy would swap the renowned coast of Amalfi for this town. The antique beauty of the town and its unique location between Etna and the sea has attracted nobility and intellectuals from all over Europe since the 19th century. Today, tourists in Taormina particularly like the small winding streets with their countless trattorias, pizzerias and many small shops with souvenirs. Walking around the town, you can also find here almost innumerable shops with culinary specialities from pasta, sweet pastries to lemon or almond liqueurs. The town was founded sometime in the 4th century BC. The Carthaginians settled together with Ur-Sicilians, Sicanians, on the mountain Monte Tauro. About 200 years later, the Romans gave the town of Taormina a world-famous building, Teatro, with a stage that enables you to see the steep sea bay of Taormina. Theatre buffs rightly claim that this is the most beautiful theatre in the whole world. A visit to the theatre is an absolute must for every visitor to Italy. People who come to see the town between May and August can experience the Teatro coming alive with all its beautiful scenery and acoustics, because at that time the Festival Taormina Arte stages operas as well as dramas within the antique walls. Santo Spirito is a small quiet abbey standing before the gates of Caltanissetta. It's hard to believe that it was here such world success began. Whether Friar Girolamo got his idea to mix herbs with alcohol in this cell or when praying, we'll never know. What's certain, however, is that behind the walls of the monastery, the tasty half-bitter liqueur was popular. Before 1868, Girolamo bequeathed its recipe to an influential man in the town. His name was Salvatore Averna, and that was the conception of Amaro Averna. Today, production of the liqueur is still in the hands of this family. Great-grandson Francesco Averna has taken care of the production of the drink for 27 years. To the right, behind me, there is a monastery from the 16th century, which was bought including the surrounding land by my great-grandfather. Shortly after that, this country house was built, and there his family spent their summer holidays. And it must have been in this villa where my great-grandfather met his friend Girolamo, a monk from Santo Spirito. Shortly before his death, it was him who left my great-grandfather the recipe for the herbal liqueur Averna, which later became popular all over the world. It's a liqueur that reminds you of the good old days because it is still largely produced behind these historical walls. And also the ingredients are still exactly the same as in the original recipe.
Stiamo lavorando delle scorze di arancio amaro.
We work with peel from oranges and lemons. I've done this work for 40 years, so I'm a bit of an expert. We cut the peel and then crush the pieces in a mortar. And this is a cut bitter orange. This is a herb that is an important part of the bitter liqueur. Then there are many more herbs, but of course we can't reveal them because they are part of the production secret. And then we also add peel from a pomegranate. After all the ingredients are mixed with alcohol, sweet syrup is then added. And before Averna is bottled, it matures for 2 months. About 20,000 bottles are produced in an hour here in this works. Italians have proclaimed the drink their favourite liqueur, and in fact it is known all over the world. But the family doesn't support mass production with artificial aroma. They claim, rather true Averna, but also true gourmets. This motto also made their ancestors successful. At any rate, one Italian king personally proclaimed that Amaro is his preferred digestive. Here in this showcase we archive the oldest bottles of this company, at least those which we own as well as the new ones that we sell right now. This one here is really unique because there is an old king's seal on it. In 1912 the King Vittorio Emanuele III permitted us to supply his court. The seal can still be seen on the bottles. Of course, it is an honour we are very proud of. In the last century, Averna supplied the market also with rum, aniseed and mandarin liqueurs and other modern drinks, but today they sell only the family original. Looking at the surrounding beautiful hilly country, you can enjoy the last evening in Caltanissetta at the very heart of the island. We continue further to Milazzo along the sea. From the port on the northern coast of Sicily there are ferries to the Aeolian Islands throughout the whole year. The Aeolian Islands, or Lipari Islands, that's what the 7 small volcanic islands are called. Each one of them is a paradise full of peace and Sicilian traditions. Lipari, with its 37 square kilometres, is the largest island and also the administrative centre of the Sicilian islands. But our destination lies 3 kilometres to the north. Salina is the most beautiful of the Aeolian Islands. It arose 13,000 years ago from 2 volcanoes. That's why the Greeks called it a twin island. Many Salinas in the area gave the island today's name Salina. Around 9,000 people lived here 100 years ago. They lived on fishing and agriculture. But because of the economic crisis around 1911, many left the island. We fish for swordfish here. There are only a few fishermen left today. There used to be many more people who used to go fishing on the sea. However, in around 1900, the majority moved to Australia and South America. Few of us stayed here. That's us, whom you see here. Today, Salina has around 2,000 inhabitants. They proudly call their island La Verde, green, because no other neighbouring island is so fertile and blossomy. One fruit has given Salina particular renown, the caper. Gourmets from all over the world say that on Salina the most aromatic capers in the world are to be found. Dozens of caper fields have had covered sunny terraces on the island for many centuries. But in fact, capers aren't fruits but the buds of caper shrubs. Francesco Venez is one of the 3rd generation of the family who takes care of these buds on his fields in the north, which are gathered before they bloom. This is a caper shrub. Each plant has around 8 or 9 buds. First there is a small bud, a caper, and then it slowly grows until it opens into a flower. The flower then starts to fade, as we can see here. Not until they are salted, pickled or oiled do capers get their spicy aroma, but you can enjoy not only the shrub buds on Salina. After the flowers fade, a caper fruit starts to form. These berries are also salted and pickled. Anyway, the berries are eaten as an appetizer, antipasto, because they are also delicious. As an appetizer in pasta, with fish or in salad, no meal is without these small green buds on Salina. So every family has its own field with capers situated in front of their house. Malfa. It's worth going on a circular cruise around the island from this quiet fishing village in the north. On a motorboat along the rocky landscape we can find these famous caves in the very western part of the island. Clean turquoise blue water bathes the gates on these sheer rocks that are reminiscent of crystals. It's quite poignant. The small town of Pollara lying in the middle of the crater Monte dei Pori. The other half of the volcano sank into the sea once. Back in Malfa, it's definitely worth a walk through the calm centre. The small church of Santa Anna from the 18th century sits in the main village square. One sacred place, one espresso bar and a few stores with vegetables. The inhabitants of Malfa don't need much more to be happy. Clara Arametta, born on Salina, also doesn't want to leave her home anymore. This woman of 50 used to study psychology in Rome, but the island attracted her back. Today she is the proud owner of a holiday hotel. Not only common people enjoy the seclusion of this country house with marvellous views of the sea, VIPs have also stayed at Clara's place. In 1994, Philippe Noiret, a film star, chose this house for recreation after filming on Salina his successful film Il Postino, The Postman. Philippe Noiret liked it here very much, especially because he was here in April when the island is blooming into full colour and everything smells nice here. And there are also no tourists then, as there are in August. In fact, shortly after that, he sent his friend to spend his holiday here. He told his friend that the island is beautiful. Maybe it was even because of the delicious capers that Noiret praised Salina that much. Because in Clara's kitchen too, the buds are ingredient number one. Today a very special event takes place, Sagra del Capero, the festival of capers harvest. Like all other families on Salina, Clara's husband and the chef also get to work so that they can prepare the delicious caper specialities for the island's festive highlight. Swordfish rolls covered with capers and salad with nightshade, peppers and capers. Everything is ready at 8 o'clock. The greatest caper feast begins. Over 1,000 tourists as well as locals have come to enjoy all the delicacies with the green bud. But what would any festive meal be without pasta alla mamma? Penne with capers and tomatoes is the evening's favourite dish. Even at this late hour you can still dance in three-quarter rhythm with your lover. It's great fun, probably even for young people, because here on Salina today's generation too put great emphasis on tradition, as in fact across almost the whole of Sicily. Sicily is a wonderful island with 3,000 years of cultural heritage and is unbelievably varied and beautiful. This, the largest island of the Mediterranean, charms its visitors with its diversity. But not only the landscape attracts travellers. Where the nature is so generous, where citruses, almonds and fig trees bloom, and where vegetables, corn and fruit of all kinds is of such a high quality, there Sicily offers luxurious and imaginative menus of typical dishes and products that cannot be compared with any other region.